Hello, and welcome to the live season finale of Politics. I'm your host, Paul Ross, and I apologize for my hair not looking exactly on point. I accidentally left my second tub of hair product at my house in Connecticut, and yeah, that's right. I have two identical tubs of hair product, and I left both of them at home, so instead I'm using my girlfriend's hairspray, and I'm proud to say that I am open and honest with you, the viewers. Now, I know what you may be thinking. Didn't you just have the live season premiere of Politics like 3 weeks ago? Like, you were pretty bad. But I didn't think you were that bad. With that being said, I've still had a better week than another man who shares my name.
That's why today I am announcing that this year will be my last one as a member of the House. To be clear, I am not resigning. I intend to full my served term as I was elected to do. But I will be retiring in January, leaving this majority in good hands with what I believe is a very bright future.
That would be Republican Speaker of the House, Paul Ryan. During his press conference on Wednesday, America's most jacked congressperson decided he would not seek re-election this November, leaving the third most powerful position in the United States government up for grabs. Now, you may remember Paul Ryan became Speaker of the House after the original Orange Man, John Boehner, resigned from the position in October 2015. But unlike Paul Ryan, Boehner was weak. He couldn't handle the growing divisions within his own party, and he was 66 at the time. Nobody really blamed him for giving up his position at all. At the end of the day, all Paul Ryan really wants is to be at home with his daughters, while he inevitably lies through his teeth by commuting from a lactose-intolerant union member's nightmare known as Wisconsin back to Washington, D.C. as a lobbyist. And to use your own words against you, quote, I think we have accomplished a heck of a lot, but do you know why? It's because someone else will be Speaker of the House. And unless you decide to pull something crazy in the last 9 months of your term, I think we'll be all right. Now we move on to Argentina, a country that should be known for its soccer prowess, but is instead commonly referred to as, are you sure that's not Chile? Like, I could have sworn that you meant Chile. According to The Guardian, 8 Argentinian police officers were fired after falsely claiming that mice ate more than half a ton of marijuana. Yes, the police impugned 6,000 kilos of marijuana in a town 60 kilometers outside of Buenos Aires, only to find that 540 of those kilos were missing. But how did investigators know that mice didn't eat the pot? Like, they could have honestly been really hungry, like the police officers said they were. But even though this is a show on Emerson Independent Video, some of us at this school are actually able to do math. 540 kilograms is roughly 1,200 pounds. By comparison, Donald Trump is roughly 240 pounds. So 1,200 divided by 240 is 5. So according to the officers, the mice ate 5 Donald Trumps worth of marijuana. There would be a lot more dead mice if that were actually true. Several officers are due back in court on May 4th, and I'm sure once the officers were fired from their positions, they were pretty upset. But to prepare for the court hearing, here's something I think they should watch.
Don't cry for me, Argentina. The truth is I never left you. All through my wild days, my mad existence, I kept my promise. Don't keep your distance.
We'll be back after the short break. Don't cry for me. It won't be that long.
Welcome back, Emersonians. I'm Peyton Lewis, the host of the Evie-nominated and Evie-losing show, Common Agenda. Last season, we may have had a midlife crisis, but this summer we really found ourselves. After some deep soul-searching and some long nights mourning our defeat, we're back here for another season of the saltiest content and shenanigans on the Emerson channel. This season, we'll dive deep into Emerson's favorite subcultures, film bros, hipsters, and other white boys with brown hair. Turn us on Monday evenings at 8:30 on the Emerson channel.
Guys, I cannot have any more ramen.
Yeah, this food is really disgusting.
These are herbal cough drops.
Well, they're better than nothing.
I have some fruit if you guys want.
Those are Skittles.
Just trying my best.
Well, maybe we can just go to the DH?
What?
Oh my god, that stuff is prison food.
Well, do you have any other ideas?
Well, I'm like starving, so like we have to do something.
Did someone say something? Hi kids, Kitchen Man here. Do you know you can tune into Emerson Channel Called Kitchen for great dorm-friendly, budget-friendly recipes?
Okay, but like what if I need to go out to brunch with my girls?
Try Taste of Boston, where we profile great local restaurants in the Boston area.
What if I only want to eat competitive chef's food?
Tune in to Sliced, our brand new competitive cooking show.
I want to watch College Kitchen.
But wait! We are College Kitchen!
Welcome back. Today is Friday the 13th, and if you are a politician mentioned on this program, you probably did some things that would classify you as unlucky. Here to talk about the unluckiest duck of all is Seamus Malekaf-Zali with the National News.
Thanks, Paul. Imagine, if you will, a synthetic organism just on the cusp of achieving a shred of humanity, pining, always attempting, but never quite reaching the goal of being one with the species in its sad, pathetic existence. It only is able to frighten those that do not understand it. But even if its existence is an achievement in of itself, it is at the same time an abomination, a cruel joke to create such a flawed being in the perfect image that humanity saw itself as, but now no longer. Mark Zuckerberg, CEO of Facebook, testified before Congress this week to answer questions from senators and representatives on what Facebook knew about Cambridge Analytica's data collection, and when did he know it. After applying his human skin suit and a booster seat to look truly presidential, Mr. Zuckerberg sat before the committee and took the hard questions like, why did Facebook ban Chick-fil-A Appreciation Day? While the questions from Congress weren't all that stupid, no, they were very much still compromised by the fact that over $381,000 had been donated to members of the hearing by Facebook since 2007. Dianne Feinstein, the Senate's close to oldest member, even commented on Zuckerberg by saying, quote, he's a very nice young man. He's very young, and he has 27,000 employees, and that's amazing. He's obviously smart, he obviously knows what he's doing, and he has a very pleasant personality. He's not hard-edged in any way that I saw. For future reference, Zuckerberg is 33 and is married with children. While Zuckerberg managed to weather the questioning, at least for now, by attempting to short-circuit himself with water and testing out his smile function to little success, legal and financial questions still remain about the future of Facebook, as lawmakers continue to question the legality of Cambridge Analytica and its data mining processes. And as more businesses and famous persons leave the platform, if there's one good thing to come out of this, at least Farmville is dead. Paul, back to you.
Thanks, Seamus. It's sad when the best thing to come from these hearings is the amount of Mark Zuckerberg memes circling the internet. If you haven't seen them, please do. They're pretty amazing. We briefly discussed President Trump at the opening, but what's happened lately with his foreign policy? For more, here's our international correspondent, Stefania Lugli.
Thanks, Paul. 448 days later, has much changed overseas since Donald Trump has taken office? The Earth is still spinning, water levels are still rising, and we are still committing war crimes in Afghanistan and Iraq. Even John Bolton is still kicking. The warmongering psychopath who once said there is no United Nations has clawed his way into being our national security advisor, slowly but surely egging President Trump to attack North Korea in an effort to neutralize the threat of its nuclear weapons. While Trump and Kim Jong-un have a date set to persuade Jong-un to dismantle his country's nuclear weapons program, there is strong potential for this Tea Party to turn into the world's easiest murder mystery. Even golden showers continue to pour, except now, instead of in Trump's hotel room, it's pouring over Syrian civilians. In what's new, The State Department, lacking 38 U.S. ambassador posts, has tackled this vacancy by pasting help wanted signs in undergraduate political science classrooms. Ambassadors are crucial to diplomacy, serving as a simultaneous messenger and peacemaker for foreign governments and the U.S. government. A few favorite vacancies include Mexico, where our current ambassador leaves her post May 1st. The next ambassador, if they exist, will be required to have past experience with architecture. Saudi Arabia. Despite Prince Mohammed bin Salam's exclusive seat on President Trump's lap, the Persian Gulf state lacks an U.S. ambassador to address its current war on the starving Yemeni people. And South Korea, the nation desperately waving the white flag between Pyongyang and Washington. No ambassador, but the U.S. does have 30,000 troops deployed in the country. Hold on to your coats, everyone. There may be a cold front looming. Only 1,378 more days to go. Paul, right back to you.
Thank you, Stefania. Who knew that firing former Secretary of State Rex Tillerson would cause such a crappy mess? Get it? Because, you know, he had the whole diarrhea thing. Now on to our not crappy local correspondent, Brian Danoff.
Aw, thanks, Paul. Vice President Mike Pence visited Boston on Tuesday for a Republican National Committee fundraiser, but Massachusetts Governor Charlie Baker was nowhere to be found. Baker, who refused to vote for Donald Trump in the 2016 election, claims he didn't purposely avoid Pence, as he simply wasn't made aware of his visit ahead of time and had prior commitments. When reporters asked what those prior commitments were, Baker said, "Yeah, I had that thing at that place." He also said he tried his best to make Pence feel right at home, sending him a gift basket containing Boston's old gendered bathroom signs and a generous portion of the city's iconic casual racism. And after battling centrist Democrats, Republicans, an angry toupee, and a turtle, talking about Mitch McConnell, who knew Elizabeth Warren's greatest enemy would be a group of theater kids? MSNBC was supposed to be hosting a town hall with Warren tonight at Westfield State University, but that would have forced the school's production of the Tony-winning musical Urinetown to be moved to a different venue, rather than the stage they had built the set on and rehearsed on for weeks. After intense student backlash, the school ultimately decided to cancel the town hall, allowing the musical to go on as planned. You know, I was actually one of the leads in Urinetown in high school, and I'm glad Westfield State is putting it on. It's all about how dangerous capitalism can be and how destructive a fascist businessman can be if he rises to power. Gotta love satire. Paul, back to you.
Thanks to you, Seamus, Stefania, and Brian. All this talk about pee provides me with the perfect segue to go to commercial. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Aaron Kenigsberg, host of EIV's The Dish. Tune in every Friday for your chance to see what kind of bow tie I pulled out of my closet today.
Maggie, did you print out the scripts yet?
No, that was your job.
Maggie, oh my god, I do it every week.
No,
I told you this is the one
but we
I
talked
didn't
about
want
this.
responsibility.
Okay, I need to pick my wedgie.
Oh my god, look, they got us slushies. Freeze. Oh my god, we're here.
He's queer.
Now get used to it. Come on, give me my mic. Mic me. Hi, I'm Christian Mudrick.
And I'm Maggie Morlap.
And you're watching Real Reactions.
On the Emerson channel.
Welcome back. Now, this topic might make you roll your eyes, and yeah, you might think you know all about it, but guess what? I'm still going to talk about it, because that's all that's important right now in life, and that's the Trump-Russia investigation. Yes, there's a lot to talk about, so if I'm rushing through things, feel free to send me your questions, comments, and concerns on facebook.com/politics on EIV, or in Trump fashion, DM us on Twitter @politicsoneiv. Let's go all the way back to the start of this whole conflict, 1979. I mean, I thought the whole Trump and Russia thing began a long time ago, but not almost 40 years ago. This was the year Iran took American hostages, an event which inspired Ben Affleck to make a terrible movie, which somehow won an Oscar. It was also the year Roy Cohn, Donald Trump's lawyer at the time, introduced the president to Roger Stone. Now, Roger Stone is a man of interest because he looks like he could be Mike Pence's uglier older brother, but also because of who he's business partners with. Paul Manafort. Okay, I have to be honest. I did not intend to have the show be all about people named Paul, but that also has as much weight as no collusion or Paul Manafort and Roger Stone opening up a lobbying firm in 1980, which 36 years later led to him becoming Donald Trump's campaign manager. But here's where the trouble begins. Manafort was a lobbyist. He lobbied for plenty of Republican politicians in the past, and since he had a friendship with Trump, obviously Trump would reward that, because why not? However, since Manafort did business with the extremely corrupt foreign president of Ukraine, Viktor Yanukovych, and was ultimately indicted as a result of not registering as a foreign agent, meaning he illegally lobbied with foreign nations, including Russia. Now, keep in mind, Donald Trump has consistently said one thing about his involvement with Russia during the 2016 presidential election.
Let's put it this way. There is absolutely no collusion. That has been proven. When you look at the committees, whether it's the Senate or the House, everybody, my worst enemies, they walk out, they say, there is no collusion, but we'll continue to look. They're spending millions and millions of dollars. There is absolutely no collusion. I didn't make a phone call to Russia. I have nothing to do with Russia. Everybody knows it. That was a Democrat hoax. It was an excuse for losing the election, and it should have never been this way, where they spent all these millions of dollars. So now even the Democrats admit there's no collusion. There is no collusion. That's it.
The interesting thing about all this is that Trump may actually be right here, meaning Donald Trump himself might not have actually colluded with Russia. However, it is proven fact that people associated with his campaign spoke with the Russian government, which had an influence on the outcome of the 2016 presidential election in order to prevent Hillary Clinton from winning. But the way Donald Trump constantly says no collusion is really telling, because it's like Trump has this theory that if you repeat something multiple times, it automatically means that it's true. Like, again, me saying that politics has nothing to do with my name being Paul, or this wall behind me is made from actual bricks. In order to learn more about the president and present and future, sometimes we need to continue looking at the past. In 1984, an alleged Russian mobster, David Bogatin, invested $6 million in 5 of Trump's condominium units. Bogatin, who had $3 when he arrived to the United States 7 years earlier, was tied to a money laundering scheme throughout the 1990s and 2000s. Trump continued to deal with Russian investors and companies in order to expand his personal brand, while in turn making political connections. And additionally, Trump admired Vladimir Putin and his clearly inaccurate high approval ratings, which only shows that more signs that Trump wanted to make more Russian connections. Once we approached this decade, Trump felt it was opportune to run for president of the United States. And from 2013 onward, through the likes of Paul Manafort, businessman, and Trump's favorite scapegoat, Carter Page, and Rick Gates, the Russians also geared up for Trump's potential candidacy. And yes, We know the Russians hacked into the emails of the Democratic National Committee and, through the likes of Mark Zuckerberg, spread fake news stories, which are not actually CNN fake news, but the ones that ultimately influenced the election. And yes, Michael Flynn gave Mike Pence misleading information about Sergei Kislyak, whatever. Which, I mean, you may remember from our show 3 weeks ago. But Donald Trump didn't show any real signs of his potential culpability until May of last year.
There is breaking news coming out of the White House. President Trump has informed FBI Director James Comey that he has been terminated and removed from office. I do want to bring in our chief White House correspondent, Jonathan Karl. John, this was unexpected.
This is quite a development, David. He has accepted the recommendations of both the Deputy Attorney General and the Attorney General, Jeff Sessions, to fire James Comey, the FBI Director.
Now, when Comey was fired, I was actually shocked. At that point, I didn't really care about what was happening in the Russia investigation because Trump didn't really show that many signs that something might have actually happened until this. Basically, this was the equivalent of if a coach of a sports team decided to fire a referee because they made a call the coach didn't like. So when Washington went into chaos, everything led up to this.
Just named a special counsel in the Russia investigation. Let's go right to our justice correspondent, Pamela Brown. This is huge, Pamela.
This is a significant step. We are learning that the Deputy Attorney General, Rod Rosenstein, has appointed former FBI Director Bob Mueller to now oversee the Russia probe and look at the possible connections between Trump campaign associates and Russia.
Okay, yeah, something's about to go down here. And surprisingly, Trump has said that he wants to speak with Mueller, but a lot can change in less than a year. But can we just take a second to admire the silver fox that is Robert Mueller? I mean, seriously, the man is 73 years old, yet he has incredible hair. Honestly, I'm jealous. Hey, I can admit when someone has better hair than me. All seemed according to plan until Monday when this happened.
The New York Times breaking the news in the last few minutes that the FBI has raided the office of Donald Trump's longtime lawyer, Michael Cohen. Cohen has been in the news on two fronts in the last week. One, for his payment to porn star Stormy Daniels, and two, because he is of interest to special counsel Bob Mueller.
To say that Trump is pissed off is an underestimate because he was already in a tough spot. There's increasing evidence of Trump's questionable involvement in the Russian probe. And to gauge how mad Trump really was, you have to look at Sarah Huckabee Sanders' press conference.
Does the president believe he has the power to fire special counsel Robert Mueller? Does he believe that's within his power?
Certainly believes he has the power to do so. John?
Good. You have said several times from the podium that the president has neither the intention nor is thinking about firing Robert Mueller. Does that remain the case today?
The president was asked this question directly last night, and I'd refer you back to his comment.
Want to know what Trump said? He was like mad. Like really, really, really mad. But the latest on all of this is a report from Robert Costa of the Washington Post saying that Steve Bannon has been in contact with members of the Trump White House attempting to thwart the Robert Mueller probe. Oh, great. Steve Bannon, you're back. Honestly, I really missed your white nationalism and how you've completely influenced all of Donald Trump's political views. And it's a really cool thing that you've always found ways to not only undermine the president, but the United States government as a whole. Don't you have better things to do, like, I don't know, make a crappy documentary or something? As I said earlier, Trump might not have actually done anything. But if he were to fire Robert Mueller, the Senate should begin the impeachment hearing process because his whole life, he's been able to get away with doing whatever he wants without consequence. And now it is the time to really figure out something. And I'm waiting for you, the Senate, to do your job. Even if it's slow and steady wins the race, something I'm sure you're familiar with, Mitch McConnell, I'm okay with it. But the race to impeachment is about to start. Don't let it get too late. We'll be right back to discuss more on the Russia probe. Welcome back. I'm joined by my national correspondent, Seamus Malakaf-Zali, international correspondent, Stefania Lugli, and our local correspondent, Brian Danoff. Okay, so Seamus, I'm going to start with you. I touched briefly on Steve Bannon. Now, he's been kind of involved, but kind of not involved. What do you make of the latest developments with him?
I don't make a lot of it. He's made a big stink about going out to European countries that are particularly affected by Syrian refugees. France, Britain. He makes a lot of headlines talking about, I think when he went to a National Front rally, he talked about wearing the name of racism as a badge. But it doesn't make any difference necessarily in polling. National Front is still down in polling in France, approaching next election. UKIP, which he also visited, pretty much stayed the same. He's been making a lot of talk about undermining the Mueller investigation, providing solutions, quote unquote, to that process, but it hasn't gone anywhere. It hasn't been entertained by any Republican congressmen, politicians, pundits, whatever. It just goes out because he's former chief strategist. He carries some weight, even if it doesn't actually translate into policy. Yeah.
So if we want to look at something that's happened more recently that we know is very definitive, Michael Cohen. And the latest with the FBI raid and everything that's happened with him and the potential lawsuits, how much damage could this cause Donald Trump?
Well, I genuinely believe that whatever investigation is happening with Cohen is worse for Trump than the investigation that Mueller is pushing forward, because Cohen is an interesting character. He is someone who has stood by Trump for years upon years and continues to stand by him despite his very low popularity level and large level of intrigue as to what potential crimes Trump is hiding. And I just think that no one knows Trump and his past and his legalities better than Cohen. And I think it's really dangerous for him in the sense that Cohen is either going to get barred or going to end up in jail. And I think either of those options going to end up with him making some kind of plea deal in the future. And I think that is when Trump is going to be in trouble. Because while Cohen is playing it cool right now, he's on CBS saying he just wants his papers back from the FBI raid. I think that Trump is scared, and he hasn't really felt fear until Monday happened.
Yeah. Well, speaking of something that Trump may fear, the James Comey book that just came out. Yep. We've seen the excerpts. We feel like that there's something there, but can you give us more details on what exactly James Comey discussed in his book? Yeah,
well, basically, he talks about a lot of the things that we had suspected about Comey's relationship with Trump and the Russia investigation. He says that, yes, Trump did tell him to lay off Michael Flynn, to lay off the Russia stuff. Comey mentioned how unhinged Trump seemed and compared him to how he runs the administration, to how a mafia boss runs his family, basically.
That's not like me on politics at all.
Exactly. No, not at all. Okay. Not at all. It is. No, it's definitely interesting. What I found, I think, a pretty interesting part is that Comey did admit, yeah, Andrew McCabe kind of was in Hillary Clinton's camp. And that is something that the GOP is going to run with, and they are going to say, yep, guess what? The FBI is in bed with the Democrats. It is against Trump unfairly, and that could be a big issue because Republicans are going after this book hard, and so is the Trump administration. They're not pushing it aside. They're not discrediting it. They're going to attack Comey. They're calling him lying Comey. It's a very aggressive strategy by the GOP. We'll see if it works, but we've seen Republicans love fighting, and Democrats love kind of being on the defensive, and that's what we're seeing probably yet again.
All right, well, I'd like to thank my correspondents, Seamus Malakaf-Zali, Stefania Lugli, and Brian Danoff, as well as my two amazing co-executive producers, Aaron Crowley and Tessa McGuire. Without you, I wouldn't be able to put this show on any media platform. And as well as my wonderful crew, each and every single one of you made an impact on this program, and that cannot be understated. I'd like to thank all of you, the viewers, for your interest and support. And lastly, I'd like to thank President Trump. You provide me with material every single day, and when you get impeached, I'll honestly be really sad. Or as you like to say, sad, so sad, unbelievably sad. Good night.